Maybe we shouldn't have an intro. Maybe this is the intro with your Dixie cup. Not sponsored.
Is this actually from Dixie?
I mean, it's kind of like calling tissues Kleenex, right?
This is from Cisco, bro.
Cisco, not a sponsor.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Nest, brought to you by Cisco 16 ounce. Hydration Nation. So this week we're gonna be going in dabbling into contract.
I'm leaving that in.
Can we restart?
No.
Okay. So
yeah, we can.
No. This week we're gonna be diving into contract extensions. Some even just dipping entirely from their contracts. And then after that, there's not a whole lot to talk about in the off season, as you know. So we're gonna give you a little look into me and Mike's disc golf life and what we have planned for the upcoming season, and see if we can become less bad at disc golf. So that's the goal. Probably not,
but that's okay. Yeah, no, like Dan said, not much to talk about. Dan, what were there's two or three contracts to bring up?
Yeah.
Changes.
So we'll start off with the extension, and then we'll kind of go in a little bit more depth on the third one. The two extensions is Cole Redolin. We talked about, might have been the last podcast we did, that he left Discraft, and he ended up signing with Infinite Discs, also a member of also being managed by the Disc Golf Player Management Group. So not really a surprise to see him go to Infinite Discs and start playing with a mixed bag now. I think it was on a 2-year contract, is my hunch, but I'm not 100% sure. And then a 3-year extension with for Michael Johansen and Discraft, which obviously isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
You read, I know, the All Too World article about it, so.
Yeah. Oh, so it wasn't much. It was 3 years, undisclosed amount, like usual, but he made a comment. He doesn't see himself being anywhere else. It's the only place he wants to be. He's been there since 2008. I mean, he's not going to be anywhere else. If Discraft went bankrupt today, where would he be?
Michael Johansen might also be bankrupt, unfortunately.
No, come on.
I think he could pick up a disc manufacturer sponsorship somewhere else. It definitely wouldn't be as lucrative as the one he's doing with Discraft right now, just because he's been there for so long. And let's be honest, when you look at the elite team talent, Michael Johansen is just kind of the oddball out per se. And granted, we love watching Michael Johansen.
I think you need to put some respect on Michael Johansen's name right now.
No. He is one of the best woods players to ever play the game. One of the coolest putters to watch. But tour is getting so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's demanding like 450-foot wood shots. And I'm not sure Michael Johansen even has 450 in the tank. So
right. I think I agree. I think it's super impressive how he still is relevant in these tournaments.
Any capacity.
Yeah. He got 11th in Delaware, I think, this year. Not bad. And then he obviously, when he does play Masters, he wins basically everything. He got second at Worlds behind Dave Feldberg this year. So, but yeah, no, I think that, it's a good relationship between the two. I think he helps Discraft. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty large amount of disc golf contracts that aren't mutually benefiting both sides. It still feels sometimes like the companies are doing some of these players favors by sponsoring them. We don't need to get into it, but I think this isn't one of those. I think they help each other out. I think he sells, he put his name on a disc. People buy it for that reason, and he's fun to watch. And I wonder how long he's going to go because, I mean, he's, like you said, he's not a power player by any means, so you'd think he could probably maintain what he has distance-wise for quite a while. I really enjoy watching him. He was actually one of the first disc golf videos that I ever watched.
Really?
It was I think it was the year Paul and Ricky had the playoff. I think it was
7-hole playoff or something.
Yeah, but it had maybe that's not right. But But I feel like it was Ricky and Paul and Michael Johansen and maybe Will Schustrick, I think.
Yep, that's I know exact. It's 2014,
Was that Hornets
2012.
Nest?
Yeah, it's where Paul is wearing a DD shirt
Yeah.
because that was before DD was an actual
Clothing
manufacturer.
sponsorship, yeah.
Yeah, so it's more like clothing. So
Hmm.
Paul is wearing a DD shirt in that, and that's what it's from. I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking
it's
about now.
weird to think about DD. Like I had a DD stamped Buzz. One of my it was a disc that I had in my
That's
bag
old.
when I first started like taking disc golf seriously. And shout out James Hufford giving me that DD Buzz, and my wife threw it into the water, so
Dang,
I shouldn't have let her throw it.
that's your first problem.
Well, we're still together though, so it shows how much I love her.
Should get you a new DD Buzz though.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah, well, might need to reevaluate.
Let's see. So, and then there was one more. Matt Bell, right?
Yeah, so Matt Bell also, along with a few other players we've seen this season, terminated or left his contract early with DGA, which DGA is a smaller company that's connected with Discraft, manufactured by Discraft. So you see some players from Discraft or DGA throwing vice versa discs. But Matt Bell was with them for I think 2 years prior to this, but he ended up leaving unexpectedly and just
Who was he with before? Do you know?
wow.
I don't know.
I have no idea why I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Innova, maybe.
I'm not sure.
I'm so dumbfounded that I don't know
Anyway,
this.
I want to talk about that. Well, first of all, I don't know where he's going. There's not much to say right now. I mean, to me, DJ is kind of that third tier of company, right? Like not the big dog, not even like. I mean, I'm sure they make good discs. Everybody makes good discs.
Yeah, DGA does make good discs,
but it's not to me huge news until he goes somewhere personally. But I do want to talk about leaving contracts early. I know some other outlets have been discussing it recently, and I personally don't find it as big of a deal as some other people seem to be making it. All it is to me is just companies not making good enough contracts, or maybe the companies are the one that want them leaving. Like we don't know, but it's on both parties to make a contract that they feel good about. So if you don't want a player, like, do you think Paul McBeth has a stipulation in his contract that he can't leave early? If you're Discraft,
Probably.
I hope so, right? So like, it's on you as a company.
Especially with his 10-year contract. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where Matt Bell used to
Yeah,
play.
you look up Matt Bell while I rant about this. So for me, like, I think about a guy like if we go to golf, I can't think of who it was. It's Rory Mcilroy. He had a contract with Under Armour, and this was a while ago because now he's with Nike for like apparel and stuff. And he had a huge contract with Oakley, and he ended up signing with Nike. And Oakley sued Rory and Nike because in their contract, Under Armour had right to first refusal, which basically meant that if any company came to Rory during the agreed upon portion of their contract, they had to disclose to Under Armour how much they were offered, and Under Armour had the right to match it and keep him. And so if you don't want that in your contract as a player, you just have to realize that maybe you're not going to get a good enough deal, or if you want freedom, you have to fight for it. And as a company, if it's important to you to keep a player, you need to have something in there. So, a lot of these, we want to think that disc golf is at a point with very professional contracts, but that it just isn't. Like, just some employees are probably writing these right now for the most part. I think they said at DD, Page just had like a mutual handshake agreement with DD. Like, yeah, yep, we're good with you here, and we'll give you this much money, and everything's fine.
And we'll send you a direct deposit every month, and you just play for our team.
Give me your Venmo, and if you want us to show you how many discs you sold, let us know. We'll send you an email. Like, it's not, these contracts aren't in depth, at least most of them, and maybe more recently they have been, but
I think more. It's fair to say more recently, they have been, and Matt Bell was on Latitude 64 before DGA, so we do know.
What?
2016, he's like got Latitude 64 stuff on his Instagram, Latitude 64
You went
polo.
deep.
I did went deep. I was scrolling. Anyways, I think it's fair to say that at least for top tier players, it is different now because we've heard a lot about Ricky Wysocki this offseason, and it's kind of been rumbling, not really. And Ricky's a professional. He's not posting any leaks or anything that would.
Well, he's not, but the people who hacked his Instagram might have been.
Cocky bomb. I
Cocky
don't know if I can
bomb.
say. I don't know if I can say that, but
We might have to bleep that, but it's
well,
news. We're allowed to say it. It's
new. Yeah,
public news.
yeah. So, um, he's a professional. He's not going to leak anywhere he's going. But there's a good chance, he's definitely one of those more strict contracts where
Mm-hmm.
you're with us until end of the year when it's negotiable, and maybe he just ups and leaves at the end of the year. There's a lot of talk at the end of the year that he's gone. Like June 1st comes around and he will be leaving Innova.
January 1st, but yeah.
What do I June
1st, yeah.
Which we don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
But a player like Ricky, Eagle, Paul, and probably even Simon, some of those higher level players, we would like to think their contract is a little bit more,
Yeah.
like structured. But then again, you were just talking about the best female player to maybe ever touch a disc, getting handshake, and we'll pay you a couple grand a year or a month.
Agreement between friends. Like yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's probably why she went to disc craft.
Well, that's probably why she was able to, because she left early from DD, didn't she? But you can't even say she left early. It wasn't a real contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they were just like between the two of them, were like, what sounds good? 7 years? Okay, sure. And then so it doesn't mean much. A lot of these contracts probably, when they looked at them, didn't seem like it was worth getting someone who knows how to write contracts. I mean, listen, you can go on Google and search contract, and you can copy paste,
fill in the blanks.
Looks like a contract, but you don't know if it's correct or if it covers all the bases. And to have a lawyer on standby or on retainer, like, probably doesn't make a lot of sense, or didn't make a lot of sense for these companies when they either didn't have a lot of money or paying these players much money. But as it gets bigger, if either side doesn't have a representing party, then that's kind of just their own fault at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Ricky, I don't know, when did Ricky sign his last contract? Was it like a year before Paul's 10 million? It was before, obviously.
Yeah, I think it was. I think a year.
Yeah, I mean, you at the end of the day, you don't really have anyone to blame but yourself if you are in a contract you don't like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things change. Ricky signs a contract. I don't know what he signed for. Let's say he signed for $100,000 a year. I'm sure it's more than that with incentives.
Yeah.
But let's say $100,000, and then a year later, Paul gets 10 million, 10 years. Like, if you're sitting there upset about your contract, I mean, you made that contract. So, and that's just kind of an example of, you'd be silly not to be represented at this point if you're one of the top players. And same goes for the companies. But again, I don't really have any issue people leaving early if the contract doesn't stop them,
Right.
So,
and it doesn't seem like Matt Bell's one of those cases where he left with basically already a guaranteed spot. Like, it seemed Eric Oakley when he left DD, he already had his done deal going to Infinite. It seemed pretty clear.
I guess I would assume that, actually, I'm just talking myself out of that. I was going to say to my opinion would be he had something planned. That's why he left. But why would you announce that these announcing or leaving things is weird to me. And the only reason you're doing it is to be like, hey, everybody, I'm available. Right?
Could be. Or maybe just to drive social media. Because I think it does a lot when I'm sure Eric blew up when he was like, hey, I'm leaving DD.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, Eric Oakley left DD. That was probably more views and likes than he's ever gotten a post in the past 2 years.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So
yeah. So you think Eric had that deal done before he announced that he was leaving?
At least pretty close. Like, I would have to assume.
Yeah.
Especially a player like Eric Oakley, where he had some guarantees at DD. Like, he's like he has a contract guaranteed. People like him there. He's a hustle to leave.
Disc golf household name, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay there. Matt Bell, on the other hand, I mean, a lot of people don't know who Matt Bell is.
I mean, we didn't know where he was before, and I
We
would
couldn't
consider us
remember.
both pretty knowledgeable disc golf fans,
Yeah.
and we should have known. It's bad on us we don't, but that's kind of just showing the point that, I mean, does a place make sense for him? You think, or does it? I mean, would he do the open bag thing?
Oh yeah, he definitely strikes me as an open bag guy. But he's also kind of in that like 10-20 range where like he's been really good in the past. He's shown that he can be really good. He's a little inconsistent. He's kind of in that Eric Oakley realm. He's a phenomenal putter.
Best putter, right?
One of the best
Numbers
putters in the
wise, I
world.
think wasn't he number one in Circle 1 and Circle 2 this last year?
No, that was Corey Ellis.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But Matt Bell, he's a putting world champion.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times where players have talked about like playing against Matt Bell, and they're like, dude, he's literally the worst thrower. Like, he just kept chucking it into the trees, but then he would make like 150-foot putts. It was stupid. But he's that kind of player. He's really good. I would definitely lean towards seeing like a open bag, but I don't know.
I don't think
with Infinite getting the kind of players they have right now, it doesn't make sense to sign Matt Bell. It didn't even make sense for DGA to sign Matt Bell. I'm not sure.
What I feel like it takes a certain player to be benefiting from an open bag though. Like, it's a player that can drive, like the thing I was talking about earlier with mutual relationships. Like, I'm trying to think of somebody. Like, I'll try to make an example of somebody who's very, very good, so it doesn't seem like I'm like dogging on them. But like a Calvin Heimberg with an open bag, like I don't think that's good for him.
That could be.
You know, so
he just doesn't quite have the personality.
Does Matt Bell have a big social following? Like, to me, if you don't have a social following, the open bag stuff, you're like kind of betting on yourself to drive content. You know, you can show up to DD's door and be on their team, and you know, we know people who are 1,000 rated who get treated like superstars over there with content and with being promoted, right? And then I think that's great. I think that's awesome, but if you're that same guy with an open bag on Infinite, now all of a sudden you just kind of are like, and you're not doing your own social media. You're just another dude that just has 1,010 rating, you know?
Okay. So do we think manufacturers are giving that much more money to players in a company like Infinite Disc?
I don't even really mean money. I just mean like growing your brand and being relevant.
Right. Well, but some players don't care about that. So if they go to someone like Calvin Heimberg, if he was getting the same contract from Infinite that he was Innova, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
Because to be quite frank, it doesn't appear Calvin really cares about his like social media following.
Right. But do you think that Calvin would get comparable disc sales with random Infinite discs or open bag stuff compared to
probably not.
I guess my point is like if you're gonna go open bag and you don't have a company to lean on, if you want to have similar success, not counting your playing, because at the end of the day, Calvin can play good enough. He doesn't care probably. Right. He's just gonna make his money there and with disc sales because he's that good. But for people who don't have that luxury, like Eric Oakley, who's not gonna win every tournament, he's using social media to promote the Felon. You know, when you think of the Felon, you think of Eric Oakley, and maybe not anymore, but maybe there's gonna be a new disc that we think of him. And so I just think that open bag makes sense for people with big personalities. It's kind of my opinion. So
I agree.
And you know, apologies to Matt Bell. I just don't really know much about him. So I just don't know if that. I think he just kind of fall behind the trees if he did an open bag thing. But then again, I mean, it's no different than, I mean, what did DGA do to promote him in the last 2 years?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, DGA seems to have like two notable players, and you have to be pretty deep into disc golf to know who these notable players are. So, well, not anymore. They have one. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that we're still in the realm of, my personal opinion is I think companies still think they're doing players a favor by sponsoring them. Yeah. And let's be honest, I think a lot of them probably that is the case. Yep. Compared to, you know, I mean, Oakley was willing to sue Nike because they stole their player. You know, they value these players and they need the players more than the players need them. And right now it's the opposite in disc golf.
For most players,
You
for
know, for
sure.
most players, you know,
Yep.
think about who, if you think about who wouldn't need a sponsor and wouldn't need disc sales directly from a company to do well, like how big is that list right now? 10, 15 people,
Yeah, if
you
that.
know? So until companies view players as needs rather than like doing them a favor, I just it's gonna stunt the growth a little bit. That's kind of a whole different topic, but it's kind of going with the contract thing. Like as a player, it's up to you to make sure you have a contract that you like because these companies still view you as just like doing you a favor. I think in a
Right.
lot of cases. So
Yep.
I would love to see the details of like a guy like Paul's contract or like someone even a little different like Brody Smith. I would love to see what
Yeah.
his contract looks like how much restriction like Discraft put on Brody from just leaving tomorrow and finding the next big money. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Right.
if Innova just decided, if Innova fired everybody and all of a sudden became good at social media, um, I know, crazy thought, right? And they said, listen, Brody, we're gonna give you $2 million a year for 5 years. Could Brody go? Would he want to?
Right.
Like, could he even? You know, like, does Discraft have an opportunity to match it? Like, it's just fun, but I mean, we can't even see how much people are making. We're not going to see the details of their contract.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, do you think that, um, there's going to be any other big names that will go to an open bag anytime soon, or like people that it would make sense for?
Uh, yeah, I think when you think about it in that aspect, you do think of people that have personalities and that just don't drive as like their play isn't quite as good. Their play isn't their sole driving
I think that's
feature.
a better way to say it.
And
Yeah.
even like Paul, who's very personable, has a personality. Ricky, very personal, has a personality. Social media, blah blah blah. But their play is what makes them who they are.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes for probably the top 10, like top 10, 20 players. Like there's no player in the top 20 that their personality is what brought them to that position. Um, so not within this year, I don't think we'll see any big names go mixed bag. Like if Ricky left Innova and went mixed bag, I'd be dumbfounded,
Yeah.
absolutely dumbfounded.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
just can't see that happening.
that would make sense because he's actually one of the few guys who could actually get a big payday from a company, I feel
You're
like.
right.
Because
You're
he's
right.
one of the few guys that a company thinks helps them rather than the other way around, probably, right?
Right.
So, yeah, no, I was just curious. Anyone stuck out? It's kind of I mean, how do we know? But, yeah, as time progresses, as the end of the year comes near, I'm sure we'll see more stuff. Um, there's still a few names rumbling around. I've heard both ends of the spectrum with Kevin Jones. Last time I checked, I don't think anything's been released. There's some people have murmured that he did resign or like did an extension that they haven't announced yet. Some people still think he's leaving.
It sounds like he's gonna stay.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure, but
Yep.
it sounds like he's gonna stay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Other than that, not really much to talk about. No big PDGA news or Disc Golf Pro Tour news or anything like that. So
I do want to bring up one thing, and I know we didn't talk about this before the podcast, but I randomly thought of it. I was Innova dropped a disc, and I can't remember
yeah,
exactly.
I'm
It's
glad.
the Enemy Rebel or something. I don't know
Dark
exactly what the
Rebel,
name is. I think that's
Rebel
exactly what it is.
Soul, Dark Rebel, something like
The
that.
Dark Rebel. I think that's
Hmm.
exactly what it is. The
But let's
Dark
call it
Rebel.
what it really
It
is.
is the FD from
Not just the
Discmania,
FD,
the original
the
FD,
original FD.
which Innova in their release of the Dark Rebel it literally said at the end of the post the original FD, which obviously is shot at Discmania.
Do you have the post up?
I can pull it up.
Yeah, get the post up and read it because
It's clever,
guys,
man.
it's more than clever. It is an attack on DD.
Innova doesn't post a lot, but when they do, they come at people's throats.
I want to know who wrote that. I just
Dave
picture
Donapace.
Dave. What is it? Whip the
Donapace.
tip. Whip of the
Oh,
tip.
tip of the whip.
Tip of the whip. Dave, tip of the whip, done a pace. I just see him as that angry old man, just with like spite, like looking to get at people. And when he talks, it's tough, man.
It's angry. All right, I got the post pulled up here, so let me read
Yeah,
this
just
for you
read the
guys.
post for everybody.
The Dark Rebel rises out of the shadows. At 7.6 -1.1, this straight flyer was designed with incredible balance, providing exceptional glide and an amazingly smooth finish. Fairway disc dash, the original FD.
What were the flight numbers?
Um, 7.6 -1.1.
That's weird because when I go to Discmania, new FD, it's 76 -11.
Wow,
So that's strange.
that
The
is strange.
original FD. So, and this was just recently, um, Discmania like released or
It's
announced
their
that
new
their
FD.
new FD, right? So Innova waited till after they said that, and they said, "Listen, guys, here's this new name of this disc, but don't be mistaken. This is the original FD." And I just think after everything that happened between Innova and Discmania, that's just dirty, man.
It's killer, dude. I mean, like it's not even like you can't be mad
I
because
mean,
and as this Manny, you cannot be put in a position like that. Like you failed as a business if you get like cut through like if you're working with a company like that, you didn't do your job if you end up getting a shaft like that. You didn't
yeah,
do something right down the line.
right. I mean, yeah, okay. Yeah, when you say it like that, I agree. I think that this might go to contract stuff again. Like the guarantees weren't. I mean, if they were promised things and they didn't get it, they should have made a bigger fuss about it. They should have
They
brought
should have.
legal in, or maybe they didn't have that. Maybe it was another handshake agreement. It was like, hey, whenever we ask for FDs and P2s, can you send them over? And Info just like, yeah, sure.
Sure,
Um,
dude.
but we don't know. But
Right.
yeah, this is. Did you still have it up? Were there any like comments?
Oh
Like
yeah, I mean, I'll read the comments.
I just.
Let me um
And make no mistake, like as far as we know, the way it seemed, Innova has complete property rights to all those old molds. So this probably is the exact old FD mold, and the
oh it
the Discmania one is the one that had to change and avoid
mhm.
copy, like trademarking. So
hmm The most relevant, the first comment I see on the most relevant is the best thing about Discraft signing Paul was that they showed it's okay to rename a disc in its first year. Take note, Innova. So just kind of showing the light that when Paul left Innova, he definitely took some inspiration, we'll say, from discs he threw in the past, and just got them remade at Discraft and put a new name on it, and um, it worked. I don't.
yeah,
I'd be curious how many people actually know how close a Kong is with a destroyer
right.
or discs like that, or a Luna with an AVR. Very similar. But obviously Paul did it. That was just fine, and so Innova just kind of did it back to another company. And I'm sure this won't be the only thing. I know
Well,
Infinite.
I think this is different. I think
It is different
it's
in
even
some
like more
aspects.
savage because they're pointing out like, listen, Discmania can say all they want about this being an FD, but just remember, like, we still have the FD.
And they sold out within minutes. So people know
Yeah.
people gonna want what they want, and I've heard some talks about them not being able to remake the PD2 or the PD because I have heard that they might not own the rights to the top of the mold.
Mm.
And I think they own the rights to like the wing,
Yeah, but who
um,
cares? It just make a destroyer clone.
and just name it the PD2, the original
Yeah.
PD2 They could,
Yeah.
they
Well, they
might,
can't. They can't name it the original. Probably. Well, maybe they can. They can name whatever they want.
yeah,
But like, I I don't know. Innova like Innova. Can we agree? Innova has the worst social media presence in disc golf.
yeah,
I mean, of the major guys.
yeah,
But then they do this. Like, if they did this
yeah,
all the time, uh,
yeah.
I mean, they'd be more like volatile. Obviously, people would
But
probably.
but they also push more discs than anybody else.
Well, but imagine how many they'd push if they knew what they like. If they had someone competent in social media.
Could be.
So I don't know. Hire Dan, guys, if you're
True.
listening.
True.
Yeah, I think that's really funny. Well, and listen, uh, you know, in a roundabout way, Discmania took the first blow or took the first hit. Remember the commercial with the alpaca
With
and
the alpaca,
that was
the
more kind of towards like Infinite, but like
Innova was behind it
yeah,
all.
and it was the story was like, hey, like yeah, these are the they tried to make it seem like, hey, these are the imposters and like we're the real this and
We're
that.
the real deal.
When in reality, you're just copying what you used to have that now you don't get to do anymore. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting. I like drama, so it's fine. But
I think it's. I mean, you know, if I was able to throw Innova, I might be picking up the original FD. Just saying. Just saying.
oh man. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten all about that. So
Yeah, I had to bring it up. I know it starts some drama, and I'm excited to see if Innova releases anything else. If you see an MD3 from Innova, people are gonna go crazy.
they should just
Just saying.
name they should just name it like have the initials be MD, like name some
Oh,
like the words be like
yeah.
I don't know.
I
I
get what
can't think
you're
of anything right now, but
saying.
without sounding ridiculous, but
I know. I literally nothing else.
but
I
like
thought of
have
the Madari, but
yeah,
that's another. Yeah. Anyways.
yeah, but no, yeah. So like, and if you just put the initials on it, it'd be MD, and then have like you know, I think that'd be funny. Don't take my yeah. You can hire me if you want. That's my intellectual property. But yeah. So that's all we really had. But I mean, we can stay a while. Like Dan, did you want to talk a little bit about it? No one really knows us, so
Yeah.
Dan, why don't you talk about? I mean, you're pretty new to the disc golf world, you know, compared to me, definitely, and then like
Yeah.
to average disc golfers that take it as serious as you do, I'd say. So, let's hear the life story.
Yeah. So I was born at no, I'm kidding. I ended up getting into disc golf the summer before my junior year, or maybe the summer of my junior. So the summer before my senior year of high school. Just kind of one of my coworkers at work. Well, actually, my manager at the time was like, "Hey, come out and play disc golf." I was like, and he called it frolf at the time. He still does. Just a casual guy, and I was like, I got nothing better going on. Maybe I'll get a raise if I go out and play a few times. Might as well try it out. I went. I sucked. And he said one thing that kind of, I'm a player. I'm a person that loves competitive, like professional aspects of things. And he's like, he was holding his disc on his finger, like checking for the wind. He's like, yeah, man, all these pros, they like care about the wind and stuff. I was like, you said pros? It's professionals? I went home. I started doing my Google search. Jomez popped up, and
Gomez.
I was hooked. I mean, it's so interesting. It's so fun to watch. And then, of course, you go out there and try and do the things they do, and your disc goes 20 feet up in the air and then falls 50 feet in front of you, and you go, what did I do wrong? And, of course, I started throwing forehands and just chucked it, wobble, but went, you know, a decent ways. And I really enjoyed that. And eventually met another kid that Mike was close to in my high school, and I just kind of randomly messaged him because I knew he played disc golf. We ended up becoming friends, and through that I met Mike, where we really kind of started playing disc golf together, becoming good friends and stuff like that. So I've been serious for almost 3 years now, 2.5 years or
Yeah.
so. Started playing tournaments pretty much right away. I was really bad. First sanctioned
But
tournament I won.
yep.
Um,
We are in the
I
presence of a junior state champion.
Yes, sir. I beat 4 other kids to be crowned the junior state champion. So
Why is that not behind you right now? That trophy. You got it?
say less. Let me get it out.
Oh baby. Oh
2019,
baby.
I won that. I forgot what year, but yeah, 2019 I won. It's my last tournament win. 2019. It's quite a bit. It's quite a dry spell.
First and last.
First and last. I don't even. It's not even on my PDGA account. But I.
Wait, so
jumped in
your
air-
PDGA counts as 0 wins right now?
Yeah.
Damn.
Should I get my state championship added?
I mean, now the rating's gone, so you might as well.
Might as well. But I think I played a few rec tournaments, hopped right into intermediate. And for the past year, 2 years I've been intermediate advanced. Unfortunately, I ended up injuring my back in
Yeah.
February of last year. So every tournament I've played, I've been pretty limited, just only like 80% backhands, which sometimes is good, but a lot of times it's mostly bad, and it's not enjoyable to play either.
Mhm.
So it kind of handicapped me a little bit. I had some good performances in advanced where, made lead card and threw the bag after that. But uh, um, yeah, and through Mike, I guess I'm gonna talk about the founding of Albatross.
Yeah, it's fun.
Albatross was kind of just like a group of friends, and Mike wasn't even included in this at the beginning. Just a group of kids, mostly bad at disc golf, and we're like, yeah, we're Albatross Disc Golf, and we had a stupid Instagram where we'd post like just fun stuff,
You
kind
guys
of
were
like the disc golf.
traveling. You guys were traveling
Yeah,
a lot together.
yeah, and it wasn't even for tournaments. It was just like, hey, let's jump in the car, travel to a different town, and play disc golf, and
Yeah.
eat Buffalo Wild Wings, and we
Yep.
post about it. And then Mike kind of came to me and another one of my buddies, was like, hey, I'd kind of like to make this for real, which means you can't do the things you're doing anymore, so you're gonna have to like give me everything. And I was like, well, if you want to turn this into something, I guess that's for you. Yeah,
You're,
I'm down.
that you described that pretty forcefully. I remember asking.
Yeah, you asked the question. You're like, yeah, I'd like to make this real, and I'm sure I was like, yeah, dude, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll still control the Instagram, but we can do it. And you're like, nah, bro, we can't do that.
No, it's been a fun like progression with Albatross, just like knowing that, like you said before me, and then I came in and I was kind of part of the little posse, and to turn it into something more, or different, it's been fun. My disc golf journey has been a little bit different. Like, I won't go into the whole thing because it's that typical, it's not gonna be that different from Dan's. But I grew up playing golf primarily, quite a lot, all through from the time I was little up through high school and college. And in college is where I kind of similar to Dan. I actually, funny enough, for whatever reason, like I had played a couple times growing up just with buddies, and I had an ape and an AVR or
Let's
something.
go.
Yep. Champ ape. So I threw it like a baseball, and it went forward. So I thought I was pretty good. And I didn't really get into disc golf that much. I actually found Jomez before I even really cared about disc golf. Just somehow through
Random suggestion in the YouTube
box.
box.
And I found it, and I was like, what is this? Like, and immediately got like hooked on it, but mostly just watching. Like, remember some of the first ones I watched were Spin TV.
Spin TV, European Open.
European Open. Yeah, so good. So good. And me and a buddy were like, this is awesome. Like, let's go. And I spent like $400 on discs. Like, the week I decided I wanted to play disc golf. Bought a $150 bag, and I just thought I was...
In college?
Yeah. I thought I was gonna be the next Paul Macbeth, and
still got time.
And then I threw the disc, and it didn't really happen. But and then towards the end of college, kind of fell off a little bit in terms of playing, and I think my PDGA number is from, I have like one tournament in 2016 or 2017, and then nothing until 2000. That's not like 2015, and then nothing until 2019. I had a big gap where I just play every once in a while casually with friends. But once I kind of settled down and, stopped moving around and finished school and everything, I got back into it over the last 2 or 3 years. About, honestly, when I picked it back up again, it's kind of when Dan started. So we kind of like cross paths there. But yeah, for me, I don't, and I can ask, Dan, I'll ask you too, but for me, like my goals with disc golf, I don't really know what they are. I just recently became a TD, obviously with Albatross. I'm like trying to do company, and I'm starting to TD. I'm the state coordinator for South Dakota currently. I do still really want to improve my game and be better at disc golf and see how far I can push that just from a competitive standpoint. I'm similar to Dan. If there's a competition aspect to something, like I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I one of my friends was boasting about how fast he was at Mario speedrunning last week, and I haven't done much work other than Mario speedrunning over the last week, just because I want to be better than him at it. So that is kind of it's a good quality and a bad quality too. But disc golf is something that I love, and the thing I love about disc golf is it's something you can do to stay competitive after school's over, after college is over. It's one of the few sports that you can stay in a competitive aspect, similar to golf, which is why I still love golf a lot. But I'm really enjoying TDing and running a company too. And I don't know. We mentioned it before. I started the Road to 1,000 series, although I don't know if you can call it a series if there's only one episode. But I have some content that I've been wanting to put out, and I'm going to be putting one out soon, hopefully. But it's hard here in South Dakota to make content when it's 5 degrees outside.
Yes.
That's a bad excuse because I do have a lot of stuff I could do, and I am trying to work on my game. So as it gets warmer, I'm going to pump that out way more. But I do think, like, I don't know if 1,000's a realistic goal, but it's just a simple goal to have. So I think it's something that I want to do. And hopefully involve other people. But I also want to become a really good TD and have people know me as a good TD. So I have mixed thoughts on what I want to do in disc golf. I know Dan probably has a little bit more of a specific goal, but for me, I just want to see how good I can get and become a good TD and just go from there. I think that I kind of want to see if I hit a ceiling in disc golf, and if I do relatively quickly, I'll just kind of leave it at that and kind of head towards TDing. But I also haven't really put much effort into disc golf other than casually playing either. So I do feel like my ceiling isn't close. So yeah, Dan, I mean, what do you think as far as your goals?
Yeah, and good thing for you is you can do those two things for quite a while. I mean, Kale LaVisca's at the top of our sport and still one of the greatest players in the game, and still one of the most renowned TDs in the nation. So good thing you can do both until you ever have to make that decision, I guess. Right. As for me, it's definitely more player-based. I'm not TDing or really have any aspirations as at me being so young. It's just not something I've really thought about yet. I've helped out with Mike quite a few times during my injury, which is cool, but definitely would prefer to be out on the course playing. So as soon as I can get healthy, I really wanted to put in a lot more effort over this past year, but of course I've been injured. But I basically said I would just play throughout school, and I for sure will be playing open within the next year or two. I don't think that's really a goal. I think that's just something I've decided is going to happen. And hopefully 1,000 rated is a goal of mine. Like I said, I don't know how realistic it is. I think it is, but it's very easy to say, and I've heard many people say I can be 1,000 rated.
Yeah.
I think I can, and until I'm not injured, I don't know how much effort and drive and everything that goes into it if I'll have that with school and stuff like that. So I don't know, but I'd like to think once I get healthy, it'll be much more of a grind, and there's no pressure. I don't have to, I'm just doing school and playing disc golf. So whenever I have free time, I'm playing, I'm practicing. So once school's over, maybe I'll be in a position where I can, grind out for a year or go hop on tour. I'm a business major, and a lot of things I can do online, and so I could possibly do it on the road. So I guess we'll see. I'd like to be competitive in disc golf. I think I can be. So
yeah, I think you can too. I think that for as little of you as you've been playing time wise, I think that obviously you're not anywhere near your ceiling, and it's been unfortunate that you've been hurt, but I think once you get healthy, if you want to, obviously you're gonna get a lot better. So yeah, I mean, Dan is close. We're both from South Dakota, and his weather's pretty much the same as South Dakota right now, but it's kind of a tough, it's tough to stay motivated to practice. You have to be creative. You have to, it's not as easy just hopping outside and practicing when it's snow on the ground or 5 degrees out. So you have to get creative. You have to it becomes more of a inconvenience, I guess. And that's something that I want to talk about with people in the series for sure, getting creative with your training and stuff like that. But I think that disc golf is some of the top. I think people would be very surprised. Maybe not. Maybe they wouldn't be surprised, but a lot of top players in disc golf don't have the work ethic you probably think they do.
Yeah.
We've heard stories of guys before majors being out till 3 a.m. and showing up to their tee time 5 minutes beforehand, and guys that you think might win a major sometimes. So,
Right.
I think that as the sport progresses, it's going to be more serious, and you're going to fall behind if you don't do that kind of stuff. But I think that, and the one thing about disc golf that I do love is just the wide range. I mean, you got 50-year-olds that play rec, and that's
Yeah.
great, and
And
that's
they
awesome.
enjoy it. They love
Yeah,
it. It's something that gives them joy in
yeah.
life and
You,
therapy from work and personal stuff, and that's
exactly.
awesome.
Yeah, you can be any level, and it doesn't matter. It's just kind of it's similar to golf in that, yeah, you're competing against players at tournaments and stuff, but it's really just how far you want to take it yourself, and it's competition with yourself. So it's why I like the sport so much. Yeah, I think that's all we have for this week. We're gonna try to do every week, but maybe have a more casual convo like this because there isn't a lot to talk about. But the season's gonna be here before we know it, and they'll have a lot more to talk about, so you don't just have to listen to us talk about ourselves. But yeah, until then, like, subscribe. We really appreciate all the growth that we've had and all the people that listen on a regular basis. So just try to continue watching, and we appreciate you. See ya.
Bing bong.